Welcome everyone to this bi-weekly proposal review call. Just a few quick proposal updates for you folks in regards to some of the on-chain proposals that were passed in the last week or so, and also a quick update on the emergency upgrade that was executed 2 weeks ago. We also have Marco from the ZKsync Foundation joining us today. Hey Marco, to provide an overview of an update post that he just shared earlier today, actually, in regards to the ZKsync Foundation proposal pipeline priorities. So we have him here today to chat about that and ask any questions you folks may have. And then I just have one quick little housekeeping item at the end in regards to the delegate calls. But we can jump right in with some of the updates. So the first thing on the agenda is the incident report that was shared by Manor Labs, who was the team who actually initiated this emergency upgrade. There was an issue with the abstract batch proving, and this is like a full incident report of the situation and why they decided to initiate an emergency upgrade. Alicia, I don't know if there's anything else of note to maybe add here. Just wanted to make sure we mentioned it and shared the link with folks.
Yeah, I think the incident report is kind of like the bookend on this.
Great. Yep. Perfect. Okay, then we can move right along to the GAP 3, an update on GAP 3 and the execution from the Security Council there. Alicia, I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah, sure. Also, can you just scroll down? Oh, yeah. And then, so there's this message, and then there's just like one below it, which has like the transfers into the token governor time lock as well. So amazingly, 100.5% of the total amount of ZK tokens that were exploited have been recovered, in spite of the fact that only 90% were returned as part of the safe harbor offer, based on an agreement between the Security Council and the ZKsync Foundation. The total that was ultimately sent to the token governor time lock amounted to like 112 million ZK, when 111 million was minted initially. So I think that's a really positive outcome. And I guess the next steps to focus on are really those tokens will sit in the token governor time lock until ideas are maybe discussed in the forum and a proposal is put forward related to actions of what to do with the tokens. And I don't know if, actually, I don't think it says it in this comment here, but something particularly important to note is that there isn't an assumption that these tokens will just be used for upcoming TPPs, whatever they may be, because the premise of TPPs is that they use cat minters as kind of the primary feature for managing, a lot of security and operational risk. And by having minted tokens, you basically undo that. So there is the potential for the token assembly to be a bit creative in thinking about solutions and uses for these tokens. I don't know if anyone else wants to comment on that.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that point up, Alicia. Just maybe before we discuss that, were there any questions in regards to the posts that were shared from the Security Council on the execution of this work here? Okay, if there's none now, also please feel free to drop them on the forum in this thread. The Security Council can answer there directly, or Alicia can help coordinate a response to any questions there as well. Yeah, Alicia, thanks for bringing up that last point. I think it's an important point to note. With having now the ZKsync governance system was designed to not handle minted tokens. It of course still can. The minted tokens from the minted ZK from this initiative are now in the token governor time lock, which is controlled by the token assembly, and the token assembly can allocate those minted tokens towards different initiatives. But for token programs in general, the majority of token programs will continue to use cap minters and distribute unminted tokens. There will have to be, as Alicia mentioned, there are maybe a few examples to kind of think about of how minted tokens could be used or where they could be allocated directly. So like anything that would maybe possibly it directly into some sort of streaming contract or some sort of program that uses a contract like that. But generally, token programs will continue to use the cap minter model. Again, the reason it was designed this way is also to remove the handling of the custody of minted tokens by any potential steerco who would be managing a token program. So yeah, just wanted to make sure we touched on that point and that was clear. I'm sure this is a discussion we'll probably have over and over again or a few times with different folks. It will take some clarifying, but that's okay. Just wanted to make sure we and mentioned it initially here. Any questions in regards to that point? Okay, great. Then we can move on, Alicia, to execution updates for ZIP 10 and 11.
Yes, so the ZIPs 10 and 11 passed through the Guardian veto period, and they are now in the Security Council approval window, and there is required to be a time lock between ZIP 10 execution and then when ZIP 11 can be executed. I think it's either 24 or 48 hours. So the plan at the moment is to send ZIP 10 to the time lock and then execute it, which will initiate another time lock, hopefully by Friday, and then to execute ZIP 11 early next week. So it's like the current timeline that we're working with.
Great, makes sense. Any questions from folks in regards to ZIP 10 or 11 execution on L1? Okay, great. Then moving right along, I will pass the mic shortly over here to Marco. Just wanted to give a brief preview and context for the post that's being discussed today. So if you folks remember a few months ago, the ZKsync Foundation posted this post on the forum, which was the ZKsync Foundation proposal priorities. And it outlined a few of the kind of like key areas or key priorities that the foundation was thinking about or wanted to focus on in regards to a proposal pipeline for the coming months or for the remainder of 2025. The update that was shared today from Marco is basically an update on that post and outlines a few kind of things that Foundation has been working on and what they're thinking about now in terms of their proposal priorities. So Marco, I will pass the mic over to you to provide kind of a brief overview of the post today, and we can allow some time for questions if there are any.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Shelby. So the idea behind this was to give a quick update to everyone, and then, following up some of the other conversation, I also realized that we never really talked too much about what the foundation is doing on a day-to-day. And so I actually thought it could have been interesting for everyone to get some visibility more on this. Basically, the ZKsync Foundation's role is to help accelerate the adoption of the ZKsync technology. And we do this mostly complementing what the token assembly can already do, right, with its larger treasury. So one thing that we can do probably better or more efficiently or faster is a strategic partnership. So these are large partnerships with individual protocols, and these are simpler to do for someone like the foundation as compared to the token assembly, where for example, we would be probably less efficient is on growth program that involve incentivizing adoption directly from user, anything that increase demand. All of these things are things that are probably less efficient for us to do and more efficient for the token assembly to do. And so, when I was starting to write this, I realized we never really commented about this too much, and I wanted to basically let you know a lot of the partnership that were done over the last year since TGE. The foundation was behind it in various form. We funded them. As I was saying in other conversation, the main way in which, and we probably saw some of these lives with Treasure DAO, for example. The main way in which we interact with a partner is by doing a cross investment. So what we do is we do a large token swaps with partners that share incentive among the two entities and make sure that we work together for each other's benefit more efficiently. And then we often provide support by funding technical developments, by finding growth opportunities, by co-investing together. So we have all of these programs that we do, and of course we just started, and so we are experimenting a lot as well with what we do, and many of these conversations are very different from each other. So the first thing I just wanted to mention is the foundation was behind many of these things. I tried to divide them into two broader groups. One is strategic partnerships. So these are people that join the Elastic network since TGE, and we were in part responsible to convince them to come over. Of course, many of them had already chosen to work with us, and they are not maybe listed here, but some of them, they needed the support in various areas. They need the stuff to be built, they need infrastructure to be created, and we have funded most of this effort. This led to, I think, quite a lot of success. So today, the Elastic Network is a great place for consumer application in general. I think with Lens, Abstract, Sophon, ZKsync, XPLA, it's a great place if you want to launch a game, if you want to launch something that looks like a social app, if you're in entertainment type of chains, or for in general consumer type application. The second vertical where I think we are very well positioned as compared to competition is institutional partnership with enterprises, and in particular with financial institutions. As you probably saw last week, we announced Previdium together with a company in Singapore called Memento, and together with Deutsche, which is probably the more interesting partner here. It's the 10th largest asset manager in the world. It's a very important partnership, and as far as I know, is the largest entity in the world that has adopted in a significant way, more than a POC, crypto. Tradable is the largest RWA player in the world, and is a joint venture between a technology company and, at the time, Victory Park, which was then bought by Janus Anderson. UBS is the largest wealth manager in the world, and is one of the largest gold settlement players in the world. And we did work with them on tokenizing gold. Gravity is super exciting. It's basically hyperliquid, but more cool. It's hyperliquid, it has privacy, is connected to Ethereum, is regulated, but at the same time is a DEX with self-custody. I think it's an extremely exciting project, and so we are very excited about all these things. And the third group that I think is quite cool is these entities that have a natural large amount of real users that seem to all, in large number, tend to choose ZKsync to launch their chain. So examples are LaChain from Ripio. Ripio is the largest exchange in Latin America. Wonder, which is a chain from WonderFi, which was recently was bought by Robinhood just before launching the chain. So essentially, Robinhood now has a chain that is a ZK chain. And Union is also super exciting. Union is a consortium chain by the largest exchanges in Southeast Asia. So we are creating this kind of nice penetration in a part of the world where crypto is a high product market fit, like the global South in general, LATAM, Southeast Asia, and it's places where cross-border payments are very difficult today, and there's a lot of need for solutions, and crypto offers a great solution. The other things that we worked on, we worked very closely with the association, and we try to support their effort and the effort of other people working in governance. We fund a lot of this work. We don't do a lot of it ourselves because that's not our expertise, but we do a lot of the funding around it. And then the final thing is we fund some core project, like core critical development. Previdium is one. Gateway is another one. I mean, zip 10, zip 11 is a lot of things that we have participated in funding. So then to touch a little bit upon the previous point, I mean, we focused very much in the initial phase on proposals that were there to strengthen the protocol, to increase the sustainability and the security of the protocol. TPP3 is an example of that. And we thought that this is really the first thing that we need to focus on. Now, there is a huge amount of, you probably saw the poster from Meta Labs about their own roadmap and all the things that they're working on. And this will lead to, I don't know, a dozen zips, probably more before the end of the year. Each of them are super cool, super important. They lead to ZKsync as a technology getting very, very strong competitive advantages, but at the same time are very risky because you are changing core component of the protocol, and we want to make sure that this is done in the most safe way. And that's why the focus on security at the very beginning. But we are very aware that we need to focus on growth as well. So on the growth side, I think basically touching on the three groups that I mentioned before, we want to start to make proposals that allow a higher growth in the general adoption of ZK chain. There is, I think, going to be quite an evident value in being connected in a cluster of chain that is very large. Once interoperability is seamless and once proof can be done fast enough, then you start to get a network effect around this. It's a little bit like Ethereum 5 or 6 years ago, when it was clear that if you wanted to launch, to deploy a smart contract in a place where there were other natural people that were kind of coming to use it, you had to do it on Ethereum because everything else had like 95% less usage. A similar kind of mechanism we think is going to happen also for clusters of chains. So being faster now, today Elastic Network is 20 chains, which is very substantial, but actually being fast and making the network very large quickly will be very powerful in our opinion. The second is Previdium. So as I was saying at the last call, Previdium is super exciting. As far as I know, and very happy to discuss with others, but today is the only solution, so I make a bold claim, but it's the only solution that can be used realistically by a financial institution. And it's not just a hand-wavy statement, it's not a paper, it's not a white paper, but it's actually live. It's live with two entities. One is Memento and Deutsche Bank, and the other is Gravity. So this is like, very exciting, and we have as ZKsync community an opportunity to make sure that this propagates very, very fast. There's no competition. It's completely blue ocean, and is I think very cool and a great opportunity. So we want to make this grow as fast as possible. And the third is RWA. RWA is the narrative of the moment. All the VCs are talking about it, or the liquid funds are talking about it. But maybe more interestingly, all the large enterprises are actually starting to do stuff around RWA, from Bank of America to UBS to JP Morgan to Goldman Sachs. That all of these large players and the asset manager will probably be actually faster here. So BlackRock, of course, very much into it, but Templeton, Fidelity, Deutsche Bank. There's a lot of players that are coming hard on this, and we today are winning. We are the second largest after Ethereum, but we know like Ethereum is there as a support infrastructure, as a sharing infrastructure for all the layer twos. So, together with Ethereum, which if we do play our cards well, will essentially, we will share this zone of sovereignty for RWA. We have 70+% of the market, which is kind of a non-negligible advantage. And we want to just, make this as large as possible, as fast as possible. So these are the three places that we feel are the most interesting for us to grow on. And so we will work on starting to make proposal around these three. And then, maybe I'll shut up. And if you guys have any question or want to discuss something, very happy to do it. Otherwise, as usual, many of you already have our contacts. If you don't and have Shelby's or Rafa's contact or Alicia's contacts, reach out to them. They'll give you, my contact or Ben's contact. And, we are here to work with everyone and try to figure out what are the best possible things. we may also want to be a little bit aggressive and maybe break some stuff and just do some tests, and if they don't work, change fast as we did before with Ignite, and move things forward. But I think growing in these 2 to 3 areas is very important, and I'm sure the community will have ideas, and maybe there's more areas. There's area 4 and area 5 and area 6 that we should also explore over the next months and years.
Great. Thank you so much, Marco, for providing an overview of this very detailed post. It's very helpful to get some context on kind of what the ZKsync Foundation has been working on over the last few months, and also where, just given your kind of expertise and experience, where your guys' heads are at right now, and where you think value could be created in the ecosystem at the moment. Any questions for Marco? Don't be shy. I have a question. So Marco, you were saying at the end, just in regards to some of these ecosystem growth proposals, but I guess also in regards to some sustainable or like protocol development proposals that you folks are thinking about. Are you imagining the proposals that you guys are thinking about already, or possibly, or in the future? Are you expecting these to be kind of like bigger, like really massive programs or proposals like Ignite was, or do you see more an opportunity for maybe some smaller kind of experiments to kind of like do some testing and try to scale there?
Yeah, I personally, I would think that maybe program become massive, but there's no reason to start them massive. No, with incentive programs to stimulate demand, there is a little bit of a benefit to have a very big, highlight number at the beginning. Say, 50 million, 100 million, 200 million. This stuff, people pay more attention. The various, newscaster pick it up more willingly, and because your point is to just attract, and so you need this kind of big headlines. I think if you for these 3 areas that I kind of focused on, they're naturally more enterprise in nature, and enterprises will not care. They don't care if the total program is 100 million or 5 million. They care about what kind of support do they get. If they most of them don't have the technical expertise to build the stuff on chain, they care about that. They want to know that the system is secure. They care about that. They want to know that they have, for example, a cool security council infrastructure like we have. It's a strong differentiating features compared to everybody else. Very professional. It has professional independent companies. It doesn't really rotate very fast, which creates also its sorts of issues. So all of these things are stuff that I think are more important for them than the big headline number. And this, I think, allows us to, make mistake, shut down programs, or even not shut down programs, but if it's a mistake, it's going to be a loss, but hopefully it's a small loss. But also, I think we should be aggressive. So if a program instead works, we want to double it, maybe, and you double it 2 to 3 times, and it becomes massive quickly. Because so this is the approach that I would suggest, and internally, that when we are designing things that we are trying to take. And then ultimately, I mean, all these programs, we make proposal only, right? We don't have any power to approve anything. We don't vote with our tokens. So the community can always approve it, test it, and then make it 10 times larger in 2 months if they feel it's very useful.
Yeah, that's helpful context. I feel like that also kind of aligns, or maybe would make sense to just thinking back on Catalyst, which was a really massive and quite complex program that folks are really excited about. But I think the complexity kind of contributed to some of the reasons why it didn't actually end up moving forward. So I'm curious to see, I guess, how delegates are kind of react or respond to maybe some smaller, simpler programs that can be scaled over time. So yeah, thanks for providing that context.
I think instead of trying to achieve 5 goals with 10 different groups of people and 20 different rules, it's better to make 10 different programs to achieve the 10 goals, and so you can just shut half of them down because they don't work and keep the remaining half. One thing I want to stress is we want to be very careful because, you know, the token price is not great. So all the treasuries are much smaller than what we would like them to be. And this is not just us, it's all our competitors too. So, you know, everything is just smaller. So we want to be careful to keep costs under control. So, you know, one thing that I think, you know, we should all be paying attention to is what's the overhead, you know, as compared to the total cost. So if to distribute $1, it costs like 50 cents, which is like how most of governments work around the world. It is very inefficient, you know. And I mean, I think, you know, Milton Friedman famously said, you know, if we take the total US budget for poverty and the threshold of poverty, and you divide the number of people, the budget for the number of people, the amount per person is higher than the threshold of poverty. So basically, we solve the poverty completely, and the answer is not, because the system itself needs 60%, 70% of its capital just to survive. And this is, I think, something we should actively, aggressively resist. So the ideal amount, the ideal overhead is zero. Zero is impossible, so it's going to be a number, but that's, I think, where we should strive for. And that's kind of like the spirit of crypto. No, it's a peer-to-peer. We don't need the, you know, octopus in the middle to suck away a lot of it. And so this, I think, is something we should also focus on. And doing small program, very custom-made to achieve just one result makes it easier, I think, hopefully.
Anybody have any reactions to that or questions?
There's a heart.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, yeah, like, I mean, this echoes a lot of the conversations that I've been having as well across a bunch of ecosystems, and just kind of like rethinking how token proposals in general like can really serve like the growth of the ecosystem. And like, yeah, quite interesting. An unsolved problem right now, I think, like in terms of what to do.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions before Marco, before we move on?
And, you know, I know I posted this just earlier today, so, you know, I'll very happy to come next week too, and maybe there's going to be more question, or maybe they will come on the forum.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess by nature, this post or this discussion is an ongoing one. So yeah, if you folks haven't had a chance to read it or react to it yet, you know, please go also share your thoughts and comments and questions on the forum as well, and we can continue the discussion there. And as long as Marco is willing, we'll have him back on these calls to continue the discussion here as well. Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Marco, for providing that overview. We will move on to actually our final agenda item, and it actually is in relation to the kind of bi-weekly, the two rotating bi-weekly delegate calls themselves. I posted this on the forum last week, end of last week, just an idea that I've been thinking about it. The governance team has been thinking about just taking a look at the calls, the density, I guess, of the calls over the past few weeks. So we currently have two rotating biweekly calls. We have the delegate biweekly calls on Tuesdays, and then the opposite week we have these proposal review calls on Wednesdays. I had the idea, or I'm suggesting, that we actually pause the delegate calls, so the bi-weekly calls that happen on Tuesday, and just do one call, so these proposal review calls on Wednesday, for the months of June and July. The reason for that being just, again, the density of the calls kind of being a bit lighter, and also just looking at proposals, the kind of a proposal or like protocol upgrades, for example, over the next few weeks are expected to be a bit lighter as well in comparison to the past few weeks and months. So just thinking we could probably combine these calls for the next 2 months and try that out. It's been about 8 months, I guess, since we've launched governance, and about 6 months since we've set up these calls consistently. So it's maybe a good touch point to kind of experiment with a different format, and we can see how that goes, and make a decision on how we want to do or continue the calls going forward. So if you haven't taken a look, or if you haven't seen this post, please go react to it or leave any comments or feedback if you have anything against it. I guess the ask is essentially, if you're in favor of this, just go like the post. And if I don't get any major pushback in the comments, I'll initiate this by the end of the week. Yeah, so please go share your feedback there if you have any. But otherwise, it will just be, if this does get implemented, then there will not be a call next week. But there will be a call in 2 weeks, and then every second week going forward. Any comments or questions or reactions to that right now that you guys want to share? Okay, getting a lot of thumbs up and everything here, so it might be a good initiative. Great, thank you guys then for that. That is actually all we have for you folks today. So thank you so much for joining, and to Marco again for joining and presenting today. I will have the call notes and recordings posted by tomorrow, and we will see you folks online. Oh, actually, one last thing, Berlin Blockchain Week. If you folks will be around next week or the following week, Rafa and I will be here. So feel free to reach out. We're also trying to coordinate or plan a very casual little coffee date for any ZKsync delegates or friends who happen to be around next Friday morning. So the 13th, I believe, is the Friday. So yeah, we'll share more information on that once we have details finalized, but just wanted to mention that. And also just in general, if you'll be around and want to try to catch up, feel free to reach out to Rafa and I. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.
Goodbye. Thank you so much.